let me just use a very simple topic named as OSPF. I hope everyone has done the OSPF configuration who are a network engineer, right, in their lifetime. So we will be focusing on some point and we will check that, okay, how we can learn about OSPF in more and more detail when we are saying that we are learning about the CCIE. And when I am saying OSPF, again, OSPF will be a very, very, great topic and very good protocol, which will consume maybe more than 5 to 8 days approximately. Okay. But today I will be just focusing on a very special option, that is router ID. Anybody can tell me what is the router ID, please? Or let me ask another type question. So question is, when our router is up and I am putting the command router OSPF, whatever the process ID may be one, what happens then? What is the first time? What thing happens? Anyone?
But you start OSPF process in the router.
Yes. All that.
And the first OSPF is one, you can use multiple OSPF on the same router.
Right. So we can use multiple times. We can use different network statements. That is true. But my main concern is when I am putting this command, what happens? When it starts the process, what happens next?
OSPF services started and the routing protocol initiated OSPF on the router.
Right. So let me just show you it practically. What happens? Okay. I'm just starting one of my router, that is router 1. Let me just take the console of it. I'm putting that into the default configuration, show IP protocol, just to check out if I have some protocols or no. There is nothing. So let us see. When we run that command, config t router OSPF 1, if I will hit this command, but obvious, it will try to start the OSPF process. But there is a condition. If that condition is not fulfilled, your OSPF will not start. Let me hit enter and see what happened. Can you see? There is an error message which appear in front of us. That is saying OSPF process 1 failed to allocate unique router ID and cannot start. Yesterday also I was talking about the same thing, that to deploy something and to implement something is very easy. By checking the Google also we can implement. But when it comes to the troubleshooting, a very detailed information you should have. If you have the detailed information, you would be able to troubleshoot. Otherwise, you will not. So the very first thing it will check is the router ID. Router ID is very important for with respect to OSPF and with respect to BGP also in some condition. I will be coming to that, okay, in our classes. EIGRP, not so much important, but for OSPF, your router ID is so much important. By the way, what is the router ID? Can anybody tell me?
I think it's a unique number.
Yes.
That
yes,
if you do not configure or manually, it takes automatically the highest loopback address configured on the router.
Perfect. Yes.
It's basically used for adjacencies with other OSPF participating routers.
Yes.
So that
Yes. Yes. So as you people are saying, router ID is nothing. It is bit like you can say a tag or a unique ID. It is just to recognize that particular router. But in OSPF, as I was saying you, it plays a very important role, either for the neighborship, either for the database to be come up. Maybe in case of EIGRP, significance of your router ID, very less. Okay, but here it is important. Second thing, either you are using version 2 or version 3 of OSPF. Version 2 is for IPv4. Version 3, it means if you are using IPv6 for your OSPF. Again, the format of router ID will be IPv4 only. So generally, it resembles to your IPv4 IP address. And as Rizwan, you were saying, you are right. We can configure it manually, or router will pick up dynamically from the active interface. Active word is very important over here. Either it is active highest loopback. So active means it does not require that loopback is the part of your OSPF network command. No, that is not required. And secondly, when you are configuring the manual ID, router ID, it does not require that the routing for that particular manual RID should be there. No. So even we configure OSPF with higher physical IP, that will not be considered as the RID if we have the loopback physical present. So let me tell in that way, there is lot of concepts yet to come. You will feel like awesome when you understand about these topics in a very great detail. Let us say we have a device. This is the new device. This does not have any IP address. And when I put out router OSPF1, the process will not start. As router is not able to find out any of the RID. And the same thing I explained you with our example where I configured the router OSPF1, and this device, if I will show you, show IP interface brief, this device does not having any of the IP address. And that is the reason it is not able to start up with your OSPF process, fail to allocate a unique router ID and cannot start the process. So that is the thing which we are checking out in the very first time. Second time, if I will talk you that, okay, before running this command, maybe one of my physical IP interface is having the 1.1.1.1 IP. Second is having 2.2.2.2. It is having 1.1.11.1. It is having 2.2.22.1. What would be my router ID that will be get allocated to this particular OSPF process?
22.1.
And the answer is very much correct that whatever the highest IP there is, that will be my IP address considered as the RID of my OSPF process. Now, if I will ask that, okay, I am configuring a loopback IP, maybe 1.0.0.1. What would be the RID now?
The loopback IP.
So there is the misunderstanding what all of the people have. We will be talking about that. Okay, it will not be loopback ID. It will be the same. Okay, there is some condition, yes, but it would be the same. It will not be gonna change. We will be talking about that. But first of all, because all of you are saying the loopback, I wanted to ask why loopback is preferred.
I think loopback usually
Loopback
doesn't
IP is never
goes
down.
down.
Sorry, one by
Yeah,
one
correct.
maybe.
It
Yeah,
doesn't down.
it does not go down. One answer. Yes, this one you were saying something.
Yeah, similar. It's if the interface is down, it doesn't go down. It's still reachable. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope
Unless it is
RID is the
explicitly down.
local to the router. Okay, so it does not matter that it would be reachable or no. So just try to think about in that way and tell me why the loopback is preferred. Why, when they were writing out the RFCs, they tell that okay, it should be a loopback which should be having the higher the higher priority, because as I am telling you, read is local to the router. No routing should be there. Why even then the loopback is preferred?
Hello.
Question is clear to all of you? The question
Yes.
is that routing is not required at all, right? So it does not
Anyhow,
matter.
the RID is
Go ahead, go ahead.
uh, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
you are. Okay, maybe he dropped. It's all right. So anyone else wanted to, talk about this? Guys, please be interactive. It would be good session for us then. Okay. Whatever you think, whatever, just tell, because everyone, all of us are here for the learning, right? So just let me know anything what you talk about. The read, what you talk about the loopback, why loopback, you guys are going good. Yes, everyone is right, but there are some more catches which we need to learn before going to our CCI examinations. So this is the logic, like why loopback should be the preferred one. And the reason is lying when I was talking about that if I configured a loopback, what would be the RID? Will it change or no? So let me show you that practically first. Then we will proceed it up. Okay. Now I am configuring exit. I am configuring one of the interface. So where is my diagram? The network is 172.16.1.0 over the Ethernet 0 by 0. Let me configure this. Let me, it's 0 by 0. IP address 172.16.1.1 255.255.255.0. And let me check now what RID my OSPF process has picked. And since it is only one, so it should be picked up with that IP. And you can able to see currently RID is 0.0.0.0. What does that mean?
It didn't take the process ID yet.
Yes, it didn't take the process ID yet. And we need to make that stuff by clearing the OSPF
IP process.
so that we can say that, okay, just reselect this your router ID. And when I did it, let me just run out this command show IP protocols again. And still it is not doing. So the point is I need to maybe go ahead here, do the no, click the router OSPF1 again. And this time, if I will see, again it is showing cannot start. Why?
I think if there is no loopback, it takes automatically loopback, then you have to configure manually the router ID with any of the interface.
Okay, so let me run the show IP interface brief. Maybe answer you can able to see over there. If anyone can explain me.
It's a down, shut down,
Yes,
admin.
it is admin down. And that is what I was
Administratively down.
talking, that it should be an active IP. So let me go to the configured terminal. Let me go to the Ethernet 0,
Yes.
interface it's 0 by 0, put it as a no shut, go to the end. Now maybe let me check show IP protocol and see it. Are you able to see? It picked up the router ID. Now the new router ID is the IP address of our only one configured interface, that is show IP interface brief. If I will check and show you, this is the Ethernet 0 by 0. But let me go to the configured terminal now. Go to the interface loopback 0.
Yeah.
A loopback 1.1.1.1 255.255.255.255. Before putting enter, I wanted to know from you guys what would be the RID when I put this command.
It will stay same, 172.
One answer from this one will same. Anybody else? No. Let me put enter and let us see.
It will take loopback.
I'm sorry. Shashank, you were saying something?
No.
Okay. So if I will check show IP protocols and I will hit enter, you can see
No.
you can see it is same. Okay. Now let me ask one more question. If I will do clear IP OSPF process and I will clear the process for the OSPF, what would be the answer now?
1.1.1.
Sorry, it is one.
I think it will take now the loopback.
So if I will hit enter, even
Yeah,
then there
now
should not be
It will
any
be a
change.
loopback IP.
There should not be any change. Can you see?
Yeah.
There is no change. By when there should not be any change? Till
Reboot.
reboot. Now, if I will go to the configure terminal, do show IP interface brief, I will go to int is 0 by 0 and make it shut. Would there any change? Yes or no?
I think no.
So if I will show you now, show IP protocol, still there is no change. Let me go to the configure terminal. Okay. Interface it's 0. Okay. Before going there, let me do one more thing. If I will clear it, clear the process, clear IP OSPF process and do the yes. Do you think guys there would be any change or no?
No.
Let us check. So even if I am doing these kind of changes, there is no change. But if I will go to the configure terminal, do show IP interface brief, and particularly this interface, I am putting it into the default mode. It means there is no IP address for this particular interface now. If I will do the clear IP OSPF process and click on the yes, do you guys think there would be some change or no now?
No.
Sorry?
No change. It will stay the same 172.
This time there will be change.
Oh.
Okay, why? Now just understand this concept very, minutely. Very important these concepts are, that your OSPF process, when you are starting,
Yeah.
it will check the active interface IP address. And within the active interface IP address, first preference, maybe let me talk about the ID, would be the manual. So manual read would be the first preference. Second preference will be going to the highest loopback IP address if it is present over there. And the very third is going to your physical IP. And when I am saying that, okay, why loopback, why not physical? The answer is, now you guys will be able to understand that sometime it happens when your router is booting up, your physical interface can be down. And if it is down, your RID will get changed for sure. If the order is vice versa, your RID could be changed. But when your router is coming up, your loopback cannot be down. Very rare chance, 99.9% is the chance that if your loopback is down, maybe due to a bug, if it is, then it might possible. Otherwise, there is no chance. So it means loopback will always up. And that is the reason why loopback is having second priority. But since if over the device, someone is configuring loopback 0, maybe with 1.1.1.1, someone is configuring loopback 1, maybe with 1.1.11.1, the router ID will not change till the time you are rebooting the device. But once you are rebooting the device, it will be captured from the highest loopback address of your that particular device, and again, which is not viable to get it changed. In that scenarios, manual is the one, when they were writing out the RFC, put in the place that manual read is at the topmost priority. So if I will say how to change the manual RID, a very simple command, go to the configuration terminal under the router OSPF 1, and whatever router ID you wanted to give, maybe 1.2.3.4, and maybe clear IP OSPF process, and you are saying yes, yes, and let us check if it come into the picture or no. Protocol, and you can see manual is preferred now. So manual is the one which is highly preferred. Second is the highest loopback IP, and the third is your highest physical IP address. Any doubt so far? What is the read value? Why it is important? Anything if you wanted to ask so far, you can ask. Otherwise, I will proceed further with respect to the read only. Any question, guys? Or is it clear? Okay.
Yes.
I think so that
Yes.
it should be clear. Okay, thank you. Now let me ask one more question on the same. What if I have the router 1, I have the router 2, there is a direct, commands is router OSPF 1, and maybe I am going with the manual read 1.2.3.4. Here the commands are router OSPF 1 and router ID 1.2.3.4. What happened in these scenarios?
I think a message will show on the screen, neighborship will not be established, and that is similar router ID.
One answer from this one, that neighborship will not come up. Anybody else?
Yeah, neighborship won't come up.
Yes, perfectly fine. So since these are the identifiers, you should be, having the different or the unique neighborship, sorry, router ID for making the neighborship. Let us check it, and then I will be coming up to one more question. Okay, so router 4, let me make it, boot it up. Meanwhile, let me check on the router 1, what about the IP addresses, those are there or no. So if I will see, router 1 has the eth 0 by 1 port, quantity int eth 0 by 1, IP address is, if I'm not wrong, 14.1.1. So IP address is 14.1.1.1 this side /32. So I am putting /32. What happened? Okay, 1.1.1. No shut. And under the router OSPF 1, I am establishing all of the networks under the area 0. And one configuration is done. Maybe let me just change the host name so that I can able to recognize on which router I am. This is router 1. Let me go to the router 4 now and perform the same tasks. Okay. So here I am going, clicking on no. And it has eth 0 by 1 port. Let it take some time to boot up. Then maybe we can talk about it. Okay. Enable, going to the config tree, config t, then terminal, and then eth 0 by 1. I am going IP address 14.1.1. Okay, by the way, if I will put .1 over here and write down like that, how this router will come to know that this is a duplicate IP? Anyone? I explained to yesterday, right, about the same. Anybody can answer, please? In yesterday's class, I told you that if it is a IP address, you are putting any IP address, then very first thing what happens? I showed you in the capture also.
Sorry, what was the question, sir?
Question is, if on R4, I am putting the same IP address which our R1 IP address has, okay, interface has. So how this router will come to know that it is a duplicate IP address on the
In
same
hello
link?
packets. Hello packets.
Which kind of hello packet?
I think the first hello packet goes to neighbor.
No.
When
Which hello packet you mean to say? EIGRP, BGP, OSPF, which hello packet?
OSPF hello packet.
But I didn't configure OSPF yet.
Okay, it's before. They will not know that it's the same IP address.
So I hope you were not present in the yesterday's class. It's all right. But I am expecting this answer from one of you guys who were yesterday when I was showing you the very first thing what happens when we configure the IP address. Anybody can answer me?
The R entry will be there, right?
Perfectly. So it would be having the ARP entry. Which kind of ARP it is? I gave a name. I told you a name particularly. What name was that?
Ether type.
Ether type was the field in between L2 header. But this is something ARP. Which kind of ARP we were talking about? So it was gracious ARP. Let me show you the same thing. I am putting the IP. I am saying no shut. And see here, gracious ARP sent. And gracious ARP come up with the point that duplicate use of IP address. Can you see these packet captures? And if you see on our device, maybe this error can be there. Okay, yeah, here it is. So how come our router is aware about if this is very simple question and very important question, by the way, guys. So this is due to the gracious R. And yesterday I was talking about that gracious R is something which will check that, okay, in my broadcast domain, does that IP exists or no? Let us talk about your DSCP. When some of the IP allocated by your DSCP to of your LAN device, even your LAN device when boot up with that IP, it will send the gracious ARP that, okay, I am gonna use this particular IP address. If someone is claiming, do let me know, I will use some another. If no, in that case, I will be continuing with this. And you can see how many gracious ARP it is sending. And each time the reply is coming up that it is duplicate use. Let me go ahead and make the changes over here. Okay. And let me use 2. Let us see, all of those messages should be stopped now. Can you see? These messages are stopped. By the way, why this hello packet is coming on this interface? Although I didn't use OSPF yet. Anyone?
I think one router is configured, right, with the OSPF?
That's true. The thing is, OSPF is configured on this side. And since this router, let me remove everything. Since this router is configured, this router will send the OSPF packet on all of the active interface. We will be talking about this with the packet tracer, sorry, with this kind of, wires are captured later on. But currently, if you see, for the OSPF perspective, you can see that source is 14.1.1.1 only. And it is sending to 224.0.0.5. So far, in theory, what we have learned that it is the multicast address which OSPF use. If you will open this packet, there is lot of things in the headers which we will be going to talk about. There is lot of things in the hello packet which we will be again going to talk about. There is lot of things we need to learn about these things very in a detailed manner. Don't worry, when OSPF will come into the picture, we will be going to talk about these things later on. But currently, just I am giving you a high overview that how your routers are communicating with each other. Okay, let me go ahead and create the OSPF1, giving the router ID 1.2.3.4. By the way, what is the router ID which R1 is coming up with? We can see in the packet also. Can you see this? In the header, it is carrying out the OSPF router ID as well. Okay. Now I am configuring 1.2.3.4, hitting enter. Before that, I need to do 0.0.0, 0.0.0, area 0. Let me just stop it, wait for some time, what happened. And maybe let me check out this buddy also. Can you see now? Your router is also sending the OSPF packet on the 224.0.0.5. And here also the source is 1.2.3.4. So either you are clicking on 1, same source, 2, same source. So inside of your OSPF header, your router ID is configured. And the error comes up over here. If you will check show IP OSPF neighbor, there is no neighborship created yet, but you can see the error is coming up that the router ID is duplicate. I think so there should not be any question so far. If there is, do let me know. If no, let me correct it and maybe ask some another question from you guys. Let me do it 1.2.3.5 instead of that, and clear IP OSPF process. Yes, and you can see adjacency is up. Show IP OSPF neighbor, it is up. If you will check the packet captures again, you can see lot of things happened. Okay, and each and everything is done yet. So neighborship is full up. We will be talking about this thing later on, not now. Any questions so far? Anyone has any doubt? Any views you want to share whatever you have done in your environment, please speak up. Otherwise, we will be proceeding up with one more scenario. No doubts? Okay. Let me make it on and ask you one more question. So currently, if you talk about this particular topology, we see that 1.2.3.5 is the read, which is configured over here. 1.2.3.4 is configured over here. This is my, again, a new router which is booted up, and I need to make some configuration over here. Let us say I configured the read 1.2.3.5. What will happen? What would be the behavior of our topology? What about the OSPF neighborship? What about the routes? What about each and everything? Tell me.
Sorry, I missed your question, sir, again. Can you?
So question is 1.2.3.5. Now it is configured on router 4 and router 2 all. So what should be the behavior now?
Since, they are not neighbor, they will not directly neighbor. I think behavior. If they are within the area 0, probably you receive a message on the console that another router having a similar router ID.
So you are telling that message will appear, but message should not appear this time. Reason behind, they are not directly connected. They are not the neighbors. But there would be something for sure. Neighborship will come up or no? That is my first question.
I think with the 1.2.3.4, neighborship will not come up. It will say that there is another router having similar ID.
Any more views? Okay, let me ask this question in another way. Let us suppose we have a router. We have another router, router 2 over this side. We have two links. This is using loopback as a read. This is also using loopback as a read. If I will run show IP OSPF neighbor, the neighborship will come up or no?
Yeah, it will come up.
It will come up even though the read is same.
No, then it will not come up.
No, read is same, right? For both of these link, read is same because read would be only one. That is loopback IP. So
And
if it is coming up over here, why it will not come up over here? Getting my question? We need to do a lot of brainstorming so that we can understand this concept very clearly.
In the same LAN segment, right? Yeah, Ravinder. Because they are in the same LAN segment, the router ID would be R2 with having the same router ID, the neighborship won't come up. And
So both answers are neighborship will not come up. For whom? For this side or for this side? And why?
R1 to R2.
So let me tell again. You are saying read for this router and read for this router is same. Okay. You are saying the neighborship, there would be two neighborship 1 and neighborship 2. You are saying that neighborship will not come up. For which part you are saying the neighborship will not come up? For R1 to R4
For
or R1 to
second
R2?
part,
For the second you are saying it will not come up.
R1 to R2.
Okay. And why
Yes.
why not first part?
Yes. First part is directly connected, and there will be ARP entry, and they both will be physically reachable. So that neighborship will come up, but
L2 switch.
here
It
second
is
part won't.
it is an L2 switch and ARP entry is okay. Okay, let me remove that constraint. ARP entry is okay. This is L2 switch. Now what happened?
Duplication will be there, I think.
Okay,
For
let
the
us see.
router process,
Let us see
adjacencies.
practically. Yeah, let us see it practically. Okay, let me boot up 1.2 R2 also and give the IP address. So no. Meanwhile, for R1, let me give the IP address for this Ethernet 0x0. So maybe I have configured this. Let me go ahead for R2 and do the same. Here the IP should be 2. Let me change the IP to 2. Router OSPF 1, router ID 1.2.3.5. Let us wait for some time and see what happened. Okay, maybe I didn't publish the network over here. Router OSPF 1, network 0.0.0, 0.0.0, area 0. Currently, if I will see here, show IP OSPF neighbor, it is full with R4. And what kind of error it is saying? Ethernet 0x0, half duplex. So interface it's 0x0 and okay, maybe the switch part it is throwing the error. Let me go in the switch part. Okay, that was throwing some duplex error. I try to remove that. Leave. Now let us check. Show IP OSPF neighborship. Neighborship is not coming up with R2. But the reason should be something else. Let me check what should be the reason. it is showing up. Let me try to ping it. So our reachability is not going through. What is the reason? Maybe let me go to R2 and check. I forget to make it no shutdown. Okay, let's wait for some time. Okay, ping is okay now. Let us wait for some time. For the neighborship, you can see IP OSPF neighbor. Okay, here you go. So are you guys able to see? We are having the neighborship with 14.1.1.2. That means with R4 with the same RID. We are having the neighborship over the interface ETH 0 by 0 means R2 with the same RID. So one thing is clear that if RID is same for two routers, indirect, which are in intermediate, if you see there is one common router, but these are connecting with two different routers, even though read is same, it will not give you the error, and the neighborship will be up for this router and for this router. So far, any question, any doubt? Such kind of scenarios can be happened in your CCIE lab. Such kind of scenarios can be happen in your production environment. What would be the impact of these scenarios that we need to talk about? Anybody would like to answer? Anything, whatever coming in your mind. So we will be learning, something new, but obvious. So anything which comes in your mind, you can talk about.
All these R1, R2, and R4 are in backbone area 0, right?
Right.
So any other area routers or any other area border routers connecting to this backbone area might have face some issues in traffic flow with the help of router ID, I think.
Right. So there would be some issues, that is for sure. And let us check that. Okay. Let me go to the R2 and click on configure terminal, interface loopback 0, providing the loopback IP 2.2.2.2, 255.255.255.255, and let me go to the R4, and over R4, let me go to the configure terminal, interface loopback 0, IP address 4.4.4.4, space should be there, control and 255.255.255.255, and if I will go to the R1, okay, I have already opened. If I will go to the R1, I will check the show IP route. Where is 2.2.2.2? That is not present. So by this way, neighborship will come up. But since there are duplication, and if you will check show IP OSPF database, it will show you only one neighborship with any single one router, not with both. It will deduct that, okay, there is some duplication, and it will prefer only one. And in this case, which is the preferred one? The preferred one is R4. by any algorithm. Okay, so this is preferred, getting preferred, and by that mean only 4.4.4 is learned by your R1, but 2.2.2.2 is not learned. But let me show you, if I will change this neighborship, sorry, the read router OSPF 1 router ID 1.2.2.2, okay, and it is saying, okay, you need to clear. So let me clear this, clear IP OSPF process. I am saying yes, and pause that. It will be get detached, and all of the neighborship will come up. And pause that, we will see what is the changes on our router one. So currently it is detached, not coming up. Why? Show IP OSPF neighbor. Okay, it is up, but just in the two-way. Okay, it is taking some time. Let it get booted up. First time it takes some time. Why? We will be talking about that later on. So if you check out show IP OSPF, maybe neighborship first, it is just going ahead, X start, and you can see it is up now. Okay, full. So this time with 2 also we have the neighborship full, with 4 also we have the neighborship full. If I will check show IP route, 2.2.2.2 is appeared now. Okay, and if I will check show IP OSPF database, you guys can able to see this time I have all of the read present in this scenario. This is the very important thing, why read is important in OSPF. What could be the issues appeared when you have the same kind of read, and what is the importance of read that we talked about. Now, before going to the last question for the read, I wanted to ask from you, is there any question? Is there any doubt? Whatever you wanted to know, please ask. Otherwise, I will proceed it up. I'm considering your silence that there is no doubt. Okay. If there is no doubt, let me ask you one last question on the RID. So the question is, we have the RID bit like this, 1.2.2.2, 1.2.3.5. Instead of this, may I have some option that I can use the names, like R1 should show R4, and this side it should show R2, or whatever name you wanted to give. Is there any option? If yes, have you seen that? How to configure? Anything you would like to talk about? Okay, so let me tell you, yes, there are options. If I'm asking this question, it means yes, there are options for sure, where instead of IP addresses, we can use the names also. But for that, you should be having something configured in your environment. And the very first thing is, you should be having the DNS entry. Okay. You need to create the DNS lookups. You need to have the OSPF name lookup, which is again not a good option in the production environment. But for learning, for optimization, we should be aware about, okay, how we can do it. So let me give you an option over the R1 just to show you how we can check it. So currently, if I will show IP OSPF neighbor, you can see these are telling the IP addresses, right? Instead of that, let me talk about, I am going to the config terminal. Over here, I am just, creating the host entry. Okay. So I am just going IP host name for R2, IP is maybe 1.2.2.2. Okay. Then I am going for R4 and, okay. Here the IP is 1.2.3.5. And one command which I need to run is IP OSPF and name lookup. And if I will see show IP OSPF neighborship, are you guys able to see? Instead of your RID, I can see, okay, this is configured with which kind of router. Any question? No? Perfectly fine. Now,
So
yes, Shashank.
IP host,
IP host is
IP
nothing.
host and then keyword,
IP
then
host is
IP.
nothing. You
Yeah.
are creating the local entries into your database of R1.
Uh-huh.
So that is
Okay.
the way or alternate you can say that, okay, if your DNS is not
Mhm.
working or DNS is not there, then you are just making a way that, okay, this is the IP and instead of this IP, the entry is registered with R2. Maybe if you will give some another name, let me show you. If you will go to the configure terminal and where was your IP host? Let me just remove it. And instead of this, if I'm giving any name, netminion.net maybe, I'm just changing the name. So you can see show IP OSPF neighbor. This will change the name. Okay, whatever name you are giving. So that is how it will be working for you. And you can put out the fully qualified domain name. Again, not good for your prod environment. But yes, for the lab perspective, we should be aware that, okay, these things happens. These things are quite possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Got this point? Okay. Raz, is there any question from your side?
No,
Sorry?
I'm yes, no, there is no questions. Yes.
No questions. Perfectly fine. Narcis, is there any question from your side?
Oh, I don't have any question, please.
Okay, great. Rizwan, I hope good for you as well, right? I don't know if you're back or not. It's all right. So these are the things, guys. Again, this was the demo for second day, okay, so that you guys can understand how deeply we need to go for each and every feature, how deeply we need to go for the CCI studies. And formally, your first class would be starting from the next weekend. So far, we were, yes, going through the class also, but it was very minutely, okay. From next weekend, it would be officially first class, which will be going from 11th of September. Okay. If you have any friends in your circle, they wanted to join. And Narcis, you were talking about some of your friend, right?
But I reached him yesterday and he told me that he can't afford because he doesn't have a time to join the session because he has started a new job and
Okay.
he don't have time.
Okay. Time is very much important. Yes, I do
Yeah.
agree. Okay, so
Okay.
time need to be devoted for sure. For sure, time is the first priority that one candidate need to put in. Okay. Okay, then perfectly fine. If there are no doubts, no questions, we are good to wrap up for today. Again, I am telling you all of the blueprint, all of the labs, I would be sending you over the WhatsApp group. Kindly configure them on your laptop. Do not think that it is an easy topic or the hard topic. Do practice for each and every topic so that when we will be coming to the boot camp, there should not be anything that you are not aware of. Okay, so that is how the plan should be, that you need to be an CCI, you need to be a CCI, you need to have the CCI number. For that, you need to put your full efforts. Okay, Rizwan, are you back? Okay. Apart from this, any question, anything you would like to share, you would like to ask, you would like to, suggest anything, please go ahead and tell me.
Nothing as of now.
Okay, let me show you the plan again. So the plan is we need to be going with these kind of stuff in such of the days we need to get it completed. Okay, and totally we should be having maybe plus minus some days. So we should be having approx 50 days, which will lead to 100 days of technology classes. And by doing such kind of extensive studies, 100 classes from here, then by putting out your own efforts also, you will be able to crack any of the interview with respect to the networking. And you would be able to crack your CCIE examination also once you have the full practice, full kind of stuff. You, whatever you are, putting your efforts in the right way, in the right direction, it will surely leads to the fruitful, uh, results. Don't worry. Okay. So first time it might be seems like for you guys, some of you guys like Raz, like Narcis. So maybe for you guys, because you were very much new to the networking field. Okay. So it might seems to you that, okay, what is this? This is very much, complex for me. But after some time, when you are reading it one time, two time, you will feel like that this is nothing but is a child kind of stuff. Okay. The main thing is you need to put your efforts. For sure, you need to put your efforts. So just what I will say, do not worry. Whatever you are reading, do not get demotivated that, okay, there is so much I need to learn. There is so much I need to put efforts. Give your 100%. Persist with your, study plan. And one day you will say thankful to yourself that, okay, you didn't quit at that time. And now you are at a position that you can teach some another one. Okay. So that is the final, plan. That is all of the things and the final words. If there is nothing more, maybe those who has already registered, welcome. Okay, officially. Those who has not registered and yet to think about the registering, so please go to the Joya. Okay, talk about each and every stuff, and you can reach to me also at any point of time, and we can discuss about those things. Okay, so just put your efforts, put your all of the 100% hard work, and you will be a CCI. Don't worry.